Welcome everyone to the November 10th V3 implementation call. We're happy to have you with us today. As a reminder, these meetings are recorded. We post them on our website and also on our YouTube channel for anybody who would like to review them after, share them, or if you miss a call and you want to make sure to keep up to date on whatever the topics are. Chris does a fabulous job timestamping those. So if you go into the YouTube version of the recorded video, you can jump directly to the section or the topic that you're interested in. So that makes it a little bit more convenient for you. As a reminder, also, we do consider these calls conversation. Please feel free to unmute yourself or to use the chat feature to ask questions or contribute to the conversations as we go through the agenda. There is also time at the end of the meeting that we open it up for any questions from anyone who's on the call. If there's an issue that you would like to have addressed that wasn't on the agenda or that needs further discussion, that is available at the end of the meeting too. All right, let me go down into the agenda. Laurel is going to kick us off with a maintenance update.
All right, good morning, everyone. Once again, we have no maintenance planned this month. If that changes for any reason, we will, of course, send out an email to the Google group to let you know. But at this time, there is no planned maintenance for November. If anyone has any questions about maintenance or compliance or anything like that, feel free to send me a message in the chat or shoot me an email.
Thank you, Laurel. Any questions for Laurel? All right. Next on our agenda, we're going to turn some time over to John Beckett and Brenda Staffan for an update on the ET3 model.
Thanks, Julianne. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen if I could.
Absolutely. Do you have that option, John, on your screen? Oh, yep, there we go.
Okay, you should be able to see this now. Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. Just real quick, not a whole lot of updates, some of which you've heard last time we were here. So we're pretty steady with our flow of EPCR records. And last time I was reporting 140 that were active, and we did some reconciliation of folks that are submitting to us, and the numbers have come to 128. So that's where we are at this point. It does represent about 12 million EPCR records. So, again, we're ticking up, but, slowly ticking up towards the end of this year. And we might be around, I'm estimating around 14, 15 million by the end of the year. So we should be, at that clip at that point. In terms of ramp up, yeah, the implementation period is extended to the end of this year. So if you haven't, if your participants haven't implemented as of yet, there is a ramp up period that has been extended. And, we're proud to be able to say that we do see there are some successful implementations coming in, and we look at the claims that are being submitted in addition to usage of those custom elements that are part of ET3. So just wanted to give context there. In terms of the other updates, we are working to resolve some of the job records that we've had to hold on to. And the way we're approaching this is we're sending emails out to those vendors that submitted it to us and asking that they resubmit. So those emails have gone out, and we'll be doing a lot of follow-up this week and next week in order to get those records submitted. We are ready for 3.5. So in terms of our timeline, we're starting this month to support the submission of 3.5. We're going to do this a similar way as last year, where we had some testing sessions where we'll invite some of the vendors in. We can just do a week of testing, and we can, again, support you with some results as well as some monitoring of your transactions. So that is something that we'll send some emails out sometime in the next week or two, and that will help you in getting up and running. We are looking to publish our 3.5 documentation. So we have separated 3.4 and 3.5. So you will need to choose which one you're looking to get information about. We've had pretty much a upgrade, if you will, to some of the documentation, and we decided to go ahead and separate them so that whoever's looking at it can be clear which version they're interested in. And you'll see that documentation out there as early as next week. So it will be available. We've had to hold it back the last couple of weeks due to some final updates. In terms of data submission, there are a number of things that we're tracking. So we've got incomplete submissions. I'm tracking about 56 participants where we were expecting data from them. They may have submitted earlier in the year, or they may not have submitted at all, but the numbers here are right around 56. So again, emails will go out and we'll be requesting that data. In terms of technical issues, just to cite one or two, we do see where single and multi-PCRs are being delivered in a single transaction file, whereas we're, again, expecting to have those separated. We also see where historical data submissions, if the participant only can support version 2 for their data, for historical data, which again is, March 2019 through February 2020, we understand that as a constraint. And what we just would ask is that the participants send us an email stating that their data is in version 2, and we will take that up and, do the appropriate, procedure for those individuals. So at any rate, there is a way in which we can address this, but we do need to get some formal writing from you that you are part of the situation. Resolving submissions that are dropped, I mentioned that, largely because of the agency field values. So we found that in some cases, we do need to update our records. And in some cases, we're seeing de-agency values coming in that are old. So we are looking to resolve a lot of that, and that will help in terms of the flow of data. We also have a lot of expiring API security keys. So remember, there's 180 days now before you need to renew. So if we don't see that renewal, then the security key becomes inactive. So that is a important thing to track. And we're going to give you some support soon, where we'll send you an email reminder when the 180 days are coming up. And then lastly, we have missing custom field values. So again, we may see claims coming in, but we're not seeing the values being submitted as a part of those custom fields. So again, these are just some of the things that we're tracking, and we'll be providing some other support mechanisms in the near future to help you all with making sure your submissions don't fall into any of these categories. All right, that's it for me. I'm not sure if Brenda is on. I don't know if Brenda, you have any updates you want to share?
Hi, John. Yes, I'm on the line. Thank you.
Okay.
So thank you, John, for providing that update. And from a model perspective, as John stated earlier, the implementation date is for ET3 model participants is January 1, 2022. So that date concludes our the model's 1 year ramp up period. So the model is focusing resources on supporting our ET3 model participants in meeting that implementation date. And what that means is they need to be implementing their interventions in compliance with their participation agreement. Additionally, the model is, in addition to supporting the participants in that model implementation date, there's a lot of focus also, as John has provided an overview today, on data submission completeness, and data submission accuracy. So really there's a tremendous focus on getting these data submission systems fully operational and the resulting data complete and accurate. So again, thanks, John, for an update. Thanks for all of the individuals on today's call and the support that you provide for ET3 model participants. Back to you, John.
Okay, thanks. Any questions, comments, or thoughts?
John, this is Josh Legler. Just to underscore a little bit what Brenda was talking about there. It's entirely possible that an agency has started with the project and has submitted data and may be submitting data to you on a regular basis every day, but has not yet implemented the ET3 interventions, has not yet actually had any calls where they've taken the patient to a different place, or they've brought on telehealth or transferred to another provider on scene. And so they have until the end of the year to actually implement those clinical changes. And so I know some data managers have been wondering, are we going to see these records coming in to our state systems? And the answer is maybe, but it's entirely possible that many agencies have not yet actually begun their interventions yet. They're just submitting data, they've got the pipe in place, but the clinical change hasn't happened yet.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, Julianne, I think we're good. I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, John and Brenda. Are there any questions for John or Brenda?
Julianne, this is Eric. Just one comment. For the vendors supporting the services that have not been submitting yet, if there is something that you know of that's a barrier or a limitation or something that the agency or service needs that we can assist with to get them submitting, please let us know what that is and we will be happy to assist.
Yeah, and I would add not just the technical barriers for data submission, but also any legal barriers they're running into with actually getting permission from their state to do these interventions. That would be important as well.
Excellent point, Josh. I would expand that to anything, any barriers at all, technical, legal, administrative. We're really trying to show the value of this model. We want it to continue. We want it to be successful. And, we'll reach out to the individual agency level if we need to, or work through the state, whichever is appropriate, depending on the situation. Thank you.
Hi, Julianne, this is Brenda. I see a question in the chat. Do you mind if I go ahead and answer?
That would be terrific.
So the question is, do you have a total number of calls that are ET3 calls in California yet? What we would suggest is for information about the number of ET3 calls or interventions in each state, that you should reach out directly to your participants. And of course, on the ET3 website is a list of the participants. So we would ask you that you would go directly, get that information directly from your participants.
Thank you, Brenda. Are there other questions for Brenda or John?
What about the 3.5 custom elements for 3.5? We were doing some design meetings on those, and we had one, but I didn't hear there had been a second one, and now it sounds like they're finalized.
Yeah, David, they are finalized. Josh, I don't know, did you want to say something to that?
Yeah, so the ET3 team is finalizing the 3.5 based ET3 submission guide. However, David, if you want to go directly to the ET3 Git repository that NMSIS hosts, you will see the state data set file in there. And as soon as the submission guide is done, then the NEMSIS website will be updated to show both 3.5 and 3.4 resources. But yeah, in the meantime, feel free to look straight into that Git repository.
Okay.
There will be a release 3.5.0 branch on the repository. That's what you'll want to look for.
Any other questions on ET3? All right, excellent. Our next topic, we have Adam Bazer here with us today. He's going to talk about interoperability Connectahon. Adam, it is all yours.
Thank you, appreciate it. And please let me know if you are unable to see my slides that are up. Really appreciate the opportunity to present to this group. For those that were on a call last week in which representatives from IHE and one you know well, Andrea Parquet, shared some information about, provided an overview on the FHIR standard and some of the work that IHE USA does to help drive adoption of that standard. I'm excited to build on that presentation and share a little bit more about IHE, or Integrating the Healthcare Enterprise USA, providing an overview on that and including information in regards to our Connectahon and testing services. Want to start by introducing myself. My name is Adam Bazer, and I'm Senior Technical Manager on the Informatics and Health IT Standards team at HIMSS. In that role, I help support IHE USA and IHE International. Again, want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak about integrating the Healthcare Enterprise USA and its role in advancing standards-based interoperability in the US and around the globe. And while the data exchange issues that IHE deals with every day may be complex at its core, the work that IHE does is really simple. It's to connect people, to share in solving common problems. And so before we discuss ways that IHE USA can support NEMSIS and your interoperability priorities for 2022, I wanted to spend a moment exploring what IHE is. Underneath all the implementation guidance, all the interoperability testing, and the regulatory advocacy that IHE provides is a diverse community of interoperability thought leaders and volunteers from around the globe working to achieve IHE's vision of seamless digital health, the seamless digital exchange of health information. IHE operates an international organization which develops IHE's technical framework focused on health IT implementation guidance. And it also operates a series of national organizations across Asia, Australia, Europe, and the Middle East, as well as North America, which focus on the regional adoption of IHE's technical framework to meet the unique national needs for countries' health systems. IHE is a technical framework. It's available worldwide for free. And IHE's technical framework is a software resource for users, developers, and implementers of healthcare imaging and other health information systems. The framework defines specific implementations of established standards to achieve effective systems integration and to facilitate the appropriate sharing of medical information to support optimal patient care. IHE's technical framework is updated by thought leaders from health IT developer organizations, imaging and medical device manufacturers, public health agencies, national networks, and more on a continuous improvement cycle that ensures its guidance is as effective and up-to-date as possible. Through a series of domains, which we see here listed on the slide, IHE focuses across the healthcare continuum and looks for discrete data exchange problems, defines the actors and workflows required for a solution, and then produces documentation through its technical framework that provides step-by-step instructions for healthcare stakeholders to implement the solution as part of their product design and health IT implementation integration activities. IHE is also an interoperability testing service that works tirelessly to improve data exchange within the healthcare industry through testing resources that are really unparalleled in their scope, scale, and salience. IHE's, so I want to talk through some of the services that we see here listed on the slide. IHE's, and we'll start with the Connectahon conference and testing events. IHE's Connectahon events, which take place in North America, in Europe, and Asia throughout the year, bring together more than 500 developers and their commercial-ready production systems to test the use of IHE integration profiles to improve their systems interoperability. Connectahon testing events turn competitors into collaborators as they test their systems together and work to resolve problems in a matter of minutes that would have taken months of expensive rework at client sites. Testing at the IHE Connectathons is overseen by IHE monitors, who are subject matter experts from across the IHE domain that have years of experience implementing and integrating health information and technology systems. The Connectahon conference brings together thought leadership from health IT developers, provider organizations, patient advocacy groups, and policymakers to build consensus on important governance and operational issues in order to collectively improve standards-based interoperability. Now, whether in person or virtually, IHE Connectathons are powered by Gazelle. The Gazelle testing platform is an open source interoperability testing system that is designed to provide validated evidence of successfully achieving interoperability being tested by participating test partners. The Gazelle testing platform includes over 20 interoperability testing tools from private and public organizations such as Philips and the US's National Institute for Standards and Technology, amongst others. So let's talk for a moment about the MELD sandbox. At IHE Connectathons, participants can also come together to work through development-related activities in the MELD sandbox. The MELD sandbox is an open source healthcare sandbox designed for community-based software development activity, leveraging FHIR, DSTU2, STU3, and R4 standards to allow its users to create, edit, delete, and/or import data within a containerized architecture. Populated with synthetic FHIR data, the MELD sandbox can be used for research, education, and testing venues, test tool and standards development, to collaborate on use case demonstrations, to create reference implementations, and more. The MELD sandbox was developed and is maintained by the Interop.community, which is a partnership between IHE USA, the Interoperability Institute, Red Hat, BPM Plus Health, and Interop Beyond. So let's talk for a moment about our Path to Production digital series. For stakeholders on their journey to formal product testing at the IHE Connectathons, IHE USA offers its Path to Production digital series. This series is designed to deliver guidance for all stakeholders at all levels of maturity to better navigate the landscape of opportunities and challenges that complicate the delivery of robust interoperability within healthcare solutions. Participants in the Path to Production series can learn about key interoperability challenges, the vast array of developer tools and resources available, and how to deploy interoperability using existing and emerging standards and profile. This use case focused bi-monthly digital event series is free to attend and provides a space for community knowledge transfer, a forum for collective problem solving, again, free interoperability global goods resource development, and guidance on developing real-world digital health solutions. Another piece, the final piece of our interoperability testing service portfolio is our is IHE's Projectathons. These are organization-specific testing sessions that are designed to improve the interoperability for organizations when they are working to integrate new systems into their network, whether by mergers or acquisitions or new partnerships. Participants to a projectathon will test conformity and interoperability of their solutions or systems against the specific interoperability specifications and customized test plans and test tools developed by IHE USA to support the specifics of the project. IHE is also a standards adoption organization. Integrating the healthcare enterprise standards adoption process specifies and facilitates profiles of selected health IT standards to support carefully defined healthcare tasks that depend on electronic information exchange. IHE's standard adoption process follows a cycle from problem identification through to production-ready solutions. It starts with documented use cases of connectivity problems that need to be resolved to improve health data interoperability. From there, IHE profile developers identify the available health IT standards that need to be implemented in an integrated fashion to resolve the problem and the stakeholders who need to implement those solutions. Those subject matter experts then develop integration profiles, which are then released to the public. Software and technology developers are able to then implement these profiles within their system and test their implementation at IHE Connectahon. From there, successful testing partners then demonstrate their, there's the opportunity to demonstrate their product interoperability at the HIMSS Interoperability Showcase, which is the world's largest demonstration of healthcare interoperability and is held every year at the HIMSS Global Conference and Exposition. From there, rounding out the process, these commercial product innovations are then implemented at provider organizations, and their results are measured to document the improved interoperability achieved and the impact on health outcomes. So we started talking about IHE as a global community, and as we finish describing what IHE is, I want to come back to its role in the world. Since its inception in 1998, IHE has been a global public goods generator focused on improving the health of the people around the world through the seamless exchange of health information as part of effective care delivery workflows. For reference, global public goods are software, content, or education that are non-rivalrous, non-excludable, and available on more or less a worldwide basis, which all IHE resources are. So whether talking about IHE's interoperability testing services, its technical framework, its standards adoption process, or its global community of subject matter experts and volunteers, IHE has dedicated all of its efforts over the last 20 years producing interoperability thought leadership designed for the benefit of improved health for everyone, everywhere, through the seamless exchange of health information. So when thinking, a good way to think about the relationship between IHE International and its deployment committees like IHE USA is to consider the difference between a recipe and the food that we eat. There's one universally agreed upon method to create a dumpling. You make your wrapper dough, you make your fillings, you put your fillings in the dough, you cook that, and then you serve and enjoy. Everywhere around the world, when you get a dumpling, it's been created using that same basic recipe. But we all know that not all dumplings are the same. Different cultures use different flours, different fillings, different cooking methods. So I want everyone to think about IHE International and the work that it does as the recipe writers. IHE International designs and develops IHE integration profiles and its technical framework. It integrates globally developed testing tools into IHE's open source interoperability testing platform, Gazelle. It establishes and maintains relationships with global standards development organizations. IHE International has two main benefactors, being HIMSS and RSNA, the Radiological Society of North America, who again act as benefactors for IHE International and provide material support and personnel to help meet its mission. Now, we can think of IHE-USA and our fellow national deployment committees as the dumpling makers around the world, giving us endless variation and specialization in making dumplings of every size, flavor, and texture one could imagine. IHE-USA customizes IHE International's integration profiles to meet US-specific needs. It also guides US healthcare stakeholders on how to leverage the testing tools to meet their unique needs. And over our 20 years, we've provided that for both public and private organizations, public health agencies such as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, National Institute for Standards and Technology, and the Veterans Health Administration, amongst others. IHE-USA also accelerates the standards adoption to meet US policy goals through vehicles like our North American Connectahon. I'm just getting a little bit of background noise, thanks. Through its North American Connectahon, its cooperative agreement with the Office of the National Coordinator for Health IT, and through its work supporting profile development as we have been engaging with NHTSA around for a number of months through our colleague, Andrea Forcat. So IHE acts as, HIMSS acts as IHE-USA's sponsor and again, provides material support and personnel to help meet its mission. So just how we saw the multiple facets of IHE, there are multiple ways that IHE-USA can support NHTSA and all of your organization's interoperability needs in 2022. IHE-USA helps organizations comply with interoperability-focused regulations like the 21st Century Cures Act or Trusted Exchange Framework and Common Agreement, leveraging its technical framework and our interoperability education opportunities. IHE-USA can help improve the interoperability of products or processes by participating through participation in the IHE North American Connectahon and its complementary Path to Production digital series. IHE-USA can also help improve the interoperability of systems running within your organization or community by leveraging its Projectathon customized testing service. And so thinking about, again, what IHE is and what it does, IHE-USA connects information and technology product developers with information and technology users to share and solving common problems together. It does that through work facilitating connection across the US healthcare system and advocating for standards-based interoperability at the state and national level. For stakeholders who get involved with IHE-USA, there are a number of benefits that they will find from their participation. There's opportunities to gain a roadmap to adoption through IHE's testing and product development platform, our ISO recognized adoption process, all help improve our participants' ability to move their product implementation guide or standard from development to market adoption. Other benefits include improved testing partner relationship management. Our concierge test partner matching services help firms of all levels of maturity to gain access to testing partners for their products and help firms streamline their test partner relationship management. IHE is a place to connect with impactful stakeholders looking to take action. Our standards adoption events bring together key technical, governance, and policy stakeholders that are coming together to make actionable progress resolving urgent healthcare needs. Other benefits from participating with IHE-USA include a reduction in product development costs, gaining access to a global network of testers and the world's largest, longest running, and most rigorous interoperability testing event to fix bugs allows organizations, as I said, to solve problems in a matter of minutes that would have taken days of expensive on-site testing otherwise. And finally, benefit to participation is the ability to inform your product development process with IHE and HIMSS subject matter expertise. We help the product development workforce stay up to date on current and emerging health IT topics through access to both the IHE and HIMSS knowledge base to help understand the technical governance and policy factors impacting your production design, your product design, and health IT product interoperability more generally. So there's a number of different ways to get involved with IHE USA, and it's an opportunity to consider which one is right for you and for your organization, for the NHTSA community as it outlines its 2022 interoperability priorities. There's an opportunity to register a system to test or attend the upcoming IHE North American Connectahon conference. There's opportunities to schedule a customized IHE projectathon to improve your interoperability. There's opportunities to participate in our use case focused digital event series, Path to Production, and our use cases that we'll be focusing on the three overarching use cases we'll be focusing on in 2022 are maternal health, emergency and disaster response and preparedness, and public health data reporting. So lots of alignment with the goals and activities for the NHTSA community. There's also opportunity to get involved with IHE USA's cooperative agreement with ONC as we work to accelerate the adoption of FHIR-based data exchange. And there's always an opportunity to work with IHE USA to develop an IHE integration profile focused on your organization's or community's area of data exchange needs. Finally, you can join with others around the world to become a member of IHE and help drive the direction of this global standards adoption organization. So to get started with IHE USA, you can contact any of us listed on the slide, whether you'd like to participate in an upcoming event, schedule a projectathon for your organization, help drive FHIR-based data exchange, develop an integration profile, or become an IHE member. The IHE USA team looks forward to connecting you with public and private healthcare industry stakeholders at all levels of maturity to share in solving common interoperability problems together. I appreciate your time and want to be cognizant of it. Not sure if we've got time for a discussion, but as we think about 2022, we'd love to get a sense from the NHTSA community of the organizations, the people that IHE USA can help connect you with to support your 2022 interoperability goals. Trying to get an understanding of whose participation is critical and those that need to be informed of activities as well. But I want to, that's the end of the formal presentation, and again, appreciate everyone's time and attention, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hi, Adam, this is Clay. I'll start off the questions. Thank you very much for the presentation. That was informative to understand kind of the relationship between IHE and how what we see, like the HIMSS conference, how that connects. And so that was really helpful. So Adam, you mentioned the ability, of course, for vendors to connect with you with the idea of setting up some type of a formal Connectahon or projectathon type of an approach. How would, do you do that, Adam, on a one-on-one basis, right? I guess in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, how cool it would be if at the HIMSS conference in 2022, EMS vendor products could be prepared and could know that EHRs will be present and that they'll have the ability to connect to different parties, right? Just like you mentioned there on your slides, who is the most critical that we connect with? How do you organize that, Adam? How can we how can we organize something like that to be formally available?
Great, thank you for that question. In terms of our North American Connectahon, that's our overarching event. It's sort of, I would connect it with the analogy of an annual meeting. So there's a lot of different stakeholder groups that are coming together to participate in that event, both in terms of on the testing side, we'll have our various communities, sections of organizations that are testing their products and their integration of IHE profiles. And so that does take place. We're in 2022. We're aiming that event for the early fall time period. Now we can also develop a projectathon or a more focused Connectahon event that is not contingent on that September timeline. So the opportunity to develop something specifically for the NEMSIS community, whether it's a formal testing event or a projectathon, where it's formal testing, but with the twist of focusing on specific projects needs for interoperability testing. That can take place again throughout the year and can be scheduled to best fit within the conveniences and needs for that community. We also will be hosting our Path to Production digital series throughout the year, and that's a really great tool to help people to get onto the glide path to formal testing. Those events allow for a more detailed education on the foundations of the profiles and the standards that are being tested. So helps get everybody on the same page in terms of that. It works throughout the year a series of progressive steps that will get organizations to be in a place where they are comfortable and ready to participate in the wider Connectahon, and have developed a set of test partner relationships through that Path to Production digital series that then will have the opportunity to do that formal testing at the Connectahon itself. So both opportunities are available. If there is, if our hope is to help the community leverage the event in September, I would definitely recommend getting involved with the Path to Production series to do the foundational work to get to that place that one would need to be to participate in September. If there are more specific or urgent needs, a projectathon or customized testing event would definitely be the way to go. And you can see here a couple of my colleagues, Amit Trivedi and Emily Lemus, if there is interest in participating in either the September Connectahon or a standalone projectathon, these would be the folks to reach out to get that ball rolling.
Thanks, Adam.
Did that speak to your question? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, yep, did. Thanks, Adam.
So, if we do have a minute or two, I'd love to get a sense of, again, when we're talking about connecting people to share and solving common problems, who are the people, who are the organizations that it would be best that where IHE can support connections to NHTSA, to your organizations to help support your 2022 interoperability goals.
Yeah, Adam, Clay again. I'm not sure why it's so quiet. But I can I can outlay a couple of the processes that we're hoping on the NHTSA side to be able to complete during 2022, and that is to be able to have opportunities for testing with the current CDA implementations and with the FHIR implementations, the movement of EMS data, formerly a run report from a field or from an ambulance, right, to an emergency department. So so our connection to EHRs is incredibly important. And then probably the other flow of data that we're working on right now and having the most trouble seeing real active processes working is the opportunity for initial patient information once they arrive at the emergency department to have that flow back to the agency, and so they can evaluate the performance of their care prior to arriving at the emergency department, and then having a subset of that data rise up to the state repositories and to the national repository. So we have just some kind of broad stroke e-outcomes data is the name of the section in NHTSA where we would store that outcomes data for each of the patients. So those two flows are kind of focused, I guess, on EHRs or I guess prominent HIEs. Other folks have ideas?
Yeah, this is Josh. Question for the software developers on the call. Do you feel like you have good relationships in place with like Epic and Cerner and those EHR vendors, or you need help connecting with those vendors? Same question for the HIEs. Do you feel like you have good connections with the developers of those HIEs, or do you need help connecting with them? So Peter from Zoll said, I don't think the hospital vendors necessarily see the benefit a lot of the time. And Kelly from Image Trend agreed with that. So that's a potential avenue where IHE could help.
Yeah, appreciate that feedback. That's we based on IHE's long experience, our relationship with HIMSS, we do have connections to really cross the healthcare ecosystem, and so one of our key goals is to do that translation work to translate those benefits for integration from one audience to the next, and so appreciate this feedback. We will, as we've been continuing to develop our collaborative relationship with NHTSA, we will bring these priorities suggested into play, and look forward to sharing some more information with this group when our Path to Production series begins its registration process, looking to for that series to launch in late January of next year. So again, really want to thank everyone for their time and attention, and look forward to learning more how IHE USA can help support the goals of your organizations and of NHTSA as we all work to improve healthcare data exchange and towards improved outcomes around the world.
Thank you, Adam. We appreciate that presentation and the discussion. Next on the agenda, we've invited Peter Del Santo to talk to the group a little bit about work that several of the vendors have been doing together on custom elements. Peter, are you ready to take over?
I think so. Go ahead and I'll share my screen. Make sure that's the right one. Hello, everybody. My name is Peter Del Santo. I am a business analyst for the Zoll Data Systems out of Colorado. Over the last 2 weeks, myself, a couple other vendors, and some of the folks from the TAC have been talking about improving the process for custom elements. There's often been confusion, heartbreak, and issues getting them implemented, and we were trying to think of ways that we could assist in making that process easier. So the first thing that we realized when we got into this work group was that we weren't actually talking about one thing. A custom element is actually can be multiple things, can be one of multiple things. So when we started talking, what we realized is that there were 3 ways that a custom element could go. You could have a custom element that extended an existing element. You could have something that extended a group that already existed in the NHTSA standard, or you could have something that extended the PCR itself that didn't necessarily fall into the standard originally. I imagine that there's probably more scenarios. Those are the first 3 that we came upon. So that's where we're starting. So what do we want to do? Well, in order to make this better, make it easier, there's a couple things that we've kind of decided on trying out. First off, we know we need better definitions. There's some stuff that comes along inside of the current documentation that just doesn't provide the clarity that we think it should provide. So we're going to be working on improving the definitions in terms of what is a custom element, what kinds of things should they be doing, and how should each kind of custom element be used. We'll also be putting together some best practices. For example, we want to make sure that we are always trying to inform vendors who or what we are extending when we're creating our custom elements. So by that, I mean, if I am adding values to an existing element, the work that goes into that is different than adding a whole new element or adding an entirely new group that will need to be added into somebody's system. We're creating a checklist for development, so things that data managers could just give to their vendors for the creation of these custom elements. And then we're also creating a deployment checklist, so that way, when these things are done and ready to go out the door, you already know all of the things that you need to do, so that way every step gets hit and nothing gets missed. And then in addition to that, we're looking at making some changes to the data dictionary to improve clarity around using correlation IDs, because that seems to be an area of major confusion. So as part of that, we're putting together, and you'll have to excuse my very, very rough draft of a flow chart. We're putting together some documentation that will assist data managers to figure out A, what kind of custom element they're using, and then B, what kinds of things they're going to need to give to their vendors in order to make sure that things get built correctly and in the way that they want them. The idea is this will reduce the amount of back and forth that's required. It'll help the vendors because they'll get everything up front, and it'll help the data managers because there will be less confusion about what things go where and if there's minor differences, hopefully those will get ironed out in the beginning before the process starts and it becomes more difficult to make changes. So some of the documents that we're looking at putting together is, of course, the flow chart. We're looking at adding a bunch of information to the flow chart, including links to get to each of these documents. So that way it'll be easy to follow and get to the place you need to go. We're also looking at, who do you contact at the TAC when you have questions? What's the process for extending an existing element, extending a group, using the grouping IDs as they exist in the current state dataset builder. And then we're also creating a custom element document template. So this would be a document that a data manager could fill out. And as long as that piece was complete, they could just hand that document off to their vendor with the expectation that that would be a buildable custom element. So that's where we're at right now. Not a whole lot to show, more of just a, here's the process and here's what we're working on. If anybody has questions, or if you want to participate and help out with creating this, this is my email and my cell phone number, so feel free to call or text me. And then are there any questions? What questions do you guys have? All right.
Yeah, Peter, this is Clay. Just one thing I'll throw out. This, wow, this group has been incredibly deep thinking and very productive. So thank you, Peter, Kelly, and others that have participated. That's been very helpful. Peter, I don't think we've had a state data manager participating. I'm trying to remember the folks that were on.
We did not have a state data manager. So the call is going out to anyone interested. You can either contact me or contact the TAC. They will get you the information to get you on the email where all this information is flying back and forth. We would love to get more input. We want to make this process as easy and straightforward as possible, so that way there's less confusion and things can get done quicker.
Yeah, this is Josh. Yeah, state data manager participant would be, I think, a great addition to the group. We went through the custom element guidance and of course the XSD and data dictionary and how things are to be built, and identified areas where the documentation could be improved so that there'd be a better chance of success with custom elements. And then another thing we did is we randomly looked at some custom elements that some states had created. And we went through those and kind of, I guess you could say, critiqued them and said, where are the weak points of these custom element definitions? Wherever we see a weak point, that means we probably need to improve our documentation and training to help states to strengthen that area of their custom element configuration.
Yeah, and Amber from Colorado indicates in the chat that she would be willing to participate. That's always great. Amber is great to help with the NHTSA standard. Thank you, Amber. If there is states that do have custom elements and have some experience building those and working within your states to politically decide, I know that's a big part of this process as well, kind of deciding what to build and does it already exist, and those kind of steps that you need to go through. That's the kind of vision that we need. So if there are state data managers that have gone through that process, we'd love to have them on the committee as well.
That would be super helpful because we can only put together the documentation that we think you're going to need, but we don't know what we don't know. So if you have additional information that, again, we can get in the beginning and put it through the rest of the process, that'll just make everything easier down the road. So I'll make sure that we include you on any future correspondence, Amber. And then if anybody else is interested, just please let us know. We're more than happy to have other folks participate.
Yeah, Anne from Arizona texted that she could help. And I would also say if there's a state data manager who has had lots of troubles getting local vendors to implement your state custom elements, you're the data manager we want. so we can figure out where those hurdles are.
Cool. All right. If nobody else has any questions, I will secede.
All right. Thank you, Peter. And if anybody has interest in that, please feel free to reach out to Peter or to the TAC, and we'll make sure you're included in those discussions and that development. Clay, you've got the next couple of items on the agenda for the 3-4 extension letter, and then also year-end submissions.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Hey, thanks for hanging in with us. I'll just be really quick. Two things of note. We've been talking about and have spoke with you and OSEMSO and other stakeholders about the idea of extending the formal closure date. That is the date when the NHTSA TAC will no longer accept a version 3.4.0 records. We've talked about this extensively and have moved that closure date to January of 2024. Here's the formal letter that the states can utilize and vendors can utilize to share with agencies in regards to that new extended closure date, the addition of 1 additional year before 3-4 would close. And so this letter is now signed from the Office of EMS. Feel free to use it. It will be placed here. I guess if I go back to the NHTSA website, you would be able to reach this letter by just going through using EMS data, version 3.5 revision, and when will these changes take place. All of our versioning graphics have been updated to recognize this new date of January 2024. That letter announcing the extension of 3.4 closure date will be posted right here today, so you'll be able to access that letter. That was item 1. Any questions about this letter? Okay, great. Didn't anticipate any. The other item I had was just to remind the vendors and, of course, the state data managers that we will be closing data collection for 2021 probably late in January, with the hope of having a formal collection date and closure of accepting 2021 records for inclusion in the public release research data set will probably be early in February. So just wanted to kind of get that on people's radar, that if you have a question about whether nationally we have all of your data or not, feel free to reach out to Monet. She'd be happy to do an analysis for you, just to take a look at consistency of records submitted by month and how many total records we have, how many historical records you submitted. We're happy to provide any of that information. And again, I'll just mention that resource has been incredibly valuable and is more valuable for 2020 and 2021 than it has been in past years, right? Just because of all the research that's now going on in regards to COVID-19 and the experience communities have had with that and pre-hospital medicine. I think we've received well over 250, 270 requests for the 2020 data. So lots and lots of work is going on with that. And so 2021 will be just as important, right, as it has just continued right through the year. So feel free to reach out to us. We'll be providing resources to you to kind of take a look at what we have so far. And I just wanted to make sure that was on folks' radar. Any questions about the timeline for sending the NHTSA TAC 2021 records? We hope to have the 2021 public release research data set out in March of 2022. Okay, great. The only comment was from Paul. Paul, did I answer your question, seeing how to get to that letter? So you just do the NHTSA website using NHTSA data 3.5 revision. Okay, yep, and then down to when will the changes take place? Great. Okay. Thank you, Julianne.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, items from the Office of EMS. Eric, if there's anything that you'd like to share with this group?
I don't have anything this morning, just that the 3.5, the 3.4 extension letter was already discussed, unless anyone has anything for me.
Any questions for Eric? Next on the agenda.
Julianne, let me back up.
Yeah.
Sorry, one alibi. So we have a meeting coming up on the 18th of November with NHTSA has set us up to discuss 1 hour of data and NEMSIS with the state directors. And we'll be going down a whole list of topics for that particular meeting. So I will provide you with the PowerPoint and the information that we disseminate to them immediately following that meeting, so that all of you have access to the information that we shared with the state directors. Over.
Thank you, Eric. Are there any issues or questions for open forum? All right, Anne has a question in chat. Who are the experts, either vendors or states, on how dispatch or CAD data flows through records? She has some questions to follow up with them if they are willing. So is there anybody on the call that has experience with dispatch or CAD in their EPCR systems?
I can volunteer to talk with you, Anne.
Thank you, David. And if you don't have David's contact information, we're happy to give that to you too. Yes, Peter, hopefully everybody has experience in implementing CAD into their PCRs. All right, I just want to call attention to a couple of things on the agenda. We are offering no training, public training in December. Those will resume in January. We are doing meetings in November, the last week in November and in December. The one right before Thanksgiving will be really short. But we will still have a meeting. We like to provide the vendors as much opportunity as possible to meet their participation requirements for compliance. Also on the agenda at the bottom is listed the holiday schedule for the TAC. This is especially pertinent to vendors who have yet to schedule their compliance testing. We encourage you to not wait till the end of the year. The TAC will have several closed days, and compliance testing will not be performed over days that the TAC is closed. So if you know you have compliance testing come up, reach out to Laurel, get on her schedule. She has made herself very available for compliance testing for that process. So just keep holiday timing in mind if you have not scheduled yet. All right. Oh, Chris put in the chat the link to the extension letter. Oh, he was fast. Chris already has that up on our website then. So if you want to grab that out of chat, then you can have a copy of that formal extension letter from Dr. Kramer. All right. I think we're done for the day. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Thank you for your comments and your feedback. We appreciate your participation, and we will see you back here in just a couple of weeks. Please reach out with any questions or concerns. Thank you.